So that wraps up Florida State's schedule for the season. Really looking forward to it. Some tough coaches, some tough road matchups, some sneaky coaches in the middle and beginning of the season. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how things will play out. Florida State's been kind of a curse in the game this year. Coach last season ended up quitting midseason, and I believe the season before, I want to say the same thing happened. So at least we know that I'll finish the season with Florida State, unless something ridiculously crazy happens. How will we finish? I don't know. Let's see if we can send out Florida State on a good note. We know in real life they didn't have a great season. It was a really rough season if you're an FSU fan. They haven't had a good time on college football either. So, college football 25. Let's see if we can put them out on a good note. I have no idea what this team is going to look like on 26. I suspect that just the name in and of itself, they'll probably get a bump that they may not deserve. I've seen what the transfer portal looks like. It doesn't look great, but it is still Florida State. I expect them to have some solid stuff. So before I get into what we're going to see in the cup, there is one other thing that I wanted to look at. We need to look at that coach contract and see what we're looking at. Well, I can't sign it just yet. Out of conference scheduling is still open. It'll be closed on Thursday. Today is Tuesday. So we finished ours a little bit early. Most people tend to, but we're still filling in some teams. By the way, if you're watching this video and you're interested in joining the league, definitely let me know. You see me on Twitch. You can get at me on Discord or even here on YouTube. Just let me know and I can direct you where you need to be directed. Our coach contract isn't finalized just yet. We know what we're looking at though. So overall, it's a score of 100. Florida State's an 85, so that's what I will have to score to not get fired. In terms of participation, that's 40 points right there, almost half of the points needed. Get your polls in, get your coach reports in, get your stats in. All of these count. Recaps just count as extras. So think of it as 34 points. A recap, 5 recaps will make up for something that's missing. So potentially 2 misses here can be made up by 10 recaps. I do highlight videos for YouTube, so that's not an issue. We'll have all of them, but I just want to, I definitely will have to do my voting. I'm a coach in the media poll, so I have to do that. Coach reports and stats. I'm a numbers guy, so I definitely want to get all that stuff done. Not a big deal. This should be 40 points. Good. And we go to coach reports. Always the stressful one. So for every game, you are grading your opponent from a scale of 0 to 25, 1 to 5, or I guess in this case 5 to 25, but 1 to 5 in 5 different categories. Offensive play and variety in terms of formation. Defensive play, I said that wrong. Offensive play and formation variety. Defensive play and formation variety. So are you mixing up your play calls? Are you running the same plays? Am I just coming out running inside zone in 6 different sets? The formation changes, but the play stays the same. Are you mixing up the play calls? That's what you're looking for. Defense. I'd love to run a lot of zone, but am I sitting in just basic defenses? Cover 2, cover 3. Am I mixing in zone blitzes? Am I mixing in man blitzes? Are my cover 3s all coming in the same alignment? Like cover 3 of, let's say, 3-3-5 versus a cover 3 and 4-3 versus base dime. So trying to make sure that you're mixing up your play calls. The hard thing about those two is something I'm conscious of. It's a little bit easier because I stream. We all have to, but I tend to watch my games back. I like to look for things that I didn't do well. And sometimes you have to remember, when you're grading your opponent, think about what you did as well. Is your offense dictating what the defense is doing? If I'm running similar things or concepts these are how you play the concept, I have to be conscious of that. So try to be fair when grading. Coaching realism. That's a fun one there. This is one that gets, I think, probably the one that people grade the lowest in, honestly, is just doing things that aren't taking advantage of the game. I think that's kind of the best way to describe it. I know there's rules. It says here about realistic gameplay, punting when you're supposed to punt, kicking when you're supposed to kick, stuff like that. But that's more to me what the following the NDL rules are. You breaking rules, you're trying to take advantage of the AI, so to speak. Coaching realism is more of the AI part. Rules is doing what you're supposed to do in certain situations. And then the overall grade, how would you grade your experience with that coach? I have yet to grade anyone lower than a 5 in anything on this year's game. It's not even because I'm an easy grader. I'm just more conscious of, hey, one, I'm lucky with the people I've played. I haven't played anyone bad. I haven't had any reason to rate them low. And if there was any reason to, I would feel that the best way to go about it is to bring it up during the game, maybe at halftime, just to make the coach aware, like, hey, I'm seeing this, have a quick discussion about it and see how the second half plays out. But I haven't had to do that. I've been fortunate. And with the coaches in the ACC, I don't think I'll have a problem with that. That's this season either. A lot of vets. I have no concerns with that. It should be easy for me to give out 5s. I'd like to think that I won't be doing anything crazy, so I'll get a decent amount of those back in return. And then the last part of the season success. This is where that extra 5 points is going to come in trying to keep Florida State. So just assuming, I get a full 40 for participation and for coach reports, that means out of this, we're graded on 100 points for season success, but I need 5 of 20 to keep the team. So that means I need 25 points in this section to not get fired. Getting fired drops me to day 2 in the draft. Don't want that because you're going to get a low pick. So, let's just try to do the things we have to do. First things first, win goal. Our win goal, as you can see, is 5.5. It rounds up to 6. So if we win 6 games, basically qualifying for a bowl, that's 40 points. We're good. Our conference goal, split into 2 parts, 30 points, 15 points apiece. Win 4 conference games. That means going 4-4 and qualifying for a bowl. Going 6-6, potentially 5-7, but I think that these things are kind of in line. So if we look at the out-of-conference games, you've got Florida, you've got Notre Dame. But those 2 are going to be really tough games. Boise is going to be tough because we play each other every season. Yeah, I know I'm 9-2 against Coach Irock, but we know each other very well. Our games tend to end up having really crazy, weird, odd things happen. He knows me very well. I don't know how that's going to go. And then you have UMass. It's on the road. It's in the middle of the season. I could be coming off getting the doors blown off by Clemson, maybe taking a hard L to SMU. We'll have to see how things are going. But if we just go by on paper and just say, hey, if you go 2-2, then that means I'm going to have to go 4-4 in conference play, which aligns with everything in this upper part here. The win goal and then a bowl game and winning 4 conference games. Okay. The toughest part, though, is going to be the rivalry games because realistically speaking, we could go 0-3 in this section alone, and that makes this season a nightmare. Clemson will be on the road. Florida will be on the road. Miami at home. And even with Miami at home, the only thing that helps is that I don't have to travel to play there. It's going to be a very difficult game. We could potentially go 0-3. If somehow we manage to win all 3 of these games, we are definitely going to be in the college football playoff picture. There's no way. The things that would have to be required to win, I'd have to be having a good season, I'd imagine, to be playing at a level to beat these guys to begin with. That's a lot of hopeful thinking, wishful thinking. So we'll see if we can get some points there. And that's how you get to 100. But there's extra points. So road wins. 7 road games this season. And if you look at where some of them are tough, Clemson on the road, Florida on the road. So big home field advantages that I'll have to deal with there. North Carolina will be an ACC play, but it's not nearly like those. You've got UMass, you've got Cal, Boise, and Boston College. So I'd imagine UNC is probably the toughest. Boise just be annoying because of the Smurf turf. But in terms of HFA, nothing too crazy. So see if we can get some extra points there. Beating ranked teams while ranked. Don't know if we'll be ranked at any point in the season, but you can probably assume Clemson will be ranked. Miami will be ranked. Notre Dame, Florida, I expect Pat to be ranked. So we're going to end the season, if I'm looking at it that way, 4 games to end the season against ranked opponents. Oof. So whether beating them ranked or unranked, that's some bonus points there. Wins over win goal. If we can just finish with more than 6 wins, anything over 6 is a plus. Obviously, would like to make a bowl game. That's always the starting goal for me every season, is to have a winning season. So that means that this hits 4 points just for qualifying, an extra 2 for winning, and then the big one, if you could make the college football playoffs. The schedule makes it where it's possible with this team if you have a good season, and that's the hard part. So let's just say we get off to a good start. You got Clemson on the schedule. You got Miami, North Carolina, Notre Dame, Florida. You know that those are all going to be ranked teams. Boise State has played well. They've been in the final 2 in the Mountain West 2 of the last 3 seasons. They have their reigning back-to-back Heisman. And then you've got Coach Rock at Boston College. I don't know how the season's going to look for him. We'll see him bright and early. You got Block M. He's had a good run with SMU, back-to-back 8-win seasons. So there's definitely a path to making the playoffs with success with this schedule. I just don't know if I'm good enough to make that happen. It's definitely going to be a challenge, but to me, the key is getting out of the first half of the season clean. And I'm not saying clean in terms of a perfect record. Just you can't play yourself out. Because I feel once you get that second loss, things get put into perspective. So let's just say, for the record, we lose 2 games here. We lose to Clemson and just pick another game here and we lose it. We come out 4-2. Ideally, that wouldn't be great. But if you get to 4-2, that means the second half of the season, everything's still in play. Because I'd like to think if you beat Miami, you beat North Carolina, you beat Notre Dame and Florida, may not even qualify for an ACC title game berth, but just finishing those last games and being able to win at the end of the season, it puts you in the conversation. And at the end of the day, that's all you're trying to do. So we'll see how things play out in terms of the regular season. Let's take a look at what we've got in the cup.